I want to bring on my guest today, Nieves Martinez. She is the founder of Novel Farms. Thank you for being with me. And Stephanie Michelsen, she is also the founder of Jellatech. I can't wait to hear more about that and what that is. Patricia Bubner, she just went through a wonderful race. So exciting to have you here, the founder of Orbillion. And then Benjamina Bollag. She's joining us from London, and she is the founder of HigherSteaks. There are a couple of restaurants that are starting to have cellular meat around the globe. Even Kentucky Fried Chicken in Russia says that they're going to have cellular meat on the menu. But what is it going to cost, and how long will it take us to get there? So, of course, if you're going to have it for $300, no one will do it. So when are we going to get close to the actual price of meat?
The goal is to bring the price down. But also, it's my favorite pet peeve, but what is the true price of meat today? If we look at the price that we buy meat and that people expect to buy meat, that's ridiculous. That's not what it costs to produce. The farmers don't get a fair share, and the animals, as you say, are suffering, right? So I think there needs to be a holistic discussion about how our food system should look like and what part alternative proteins, plant-based solutions can take in there, and how can we make all of these cost efficient. Impossible Foods have, and also Beyond, have done a great job with, starting at a higher margin, then slashing the prices down. So I think that's something that we will see in cell cultured meat as well.
Yeah, and I think you have to also look at it. Is it the price of cultivated meat as a standalone, or is it the price of a hybrid? Because you have, various degrees of and various amounts, and depending on the product, it will be more or less important. So, if you're doing certain meats, it will be very important to have a high percentage of cultivated meat versus, if you're doing a sausage or a nugget, you don't necessarily need that. And the proof is, most of the plant-based alternatives are already pretty good.
Well, let's talk about that. Do you see a blending of plant-based and cultivated? So plant-based meat alternative, let's say like a nugget with a cultivated fat.
There's no question whether the first products will be this way. I think the question is which products will endure in the really long term. So whether on the long term, will it stay a hybrid? Will it always be a hybrid? Or will at some point will you be looking at a really, 80+% cultivated meat product?
Interesting. Then let me ask your perspective. I'll go with Nieves and then Stephanie. Do you foresee that plant-based foods become obsolete?
No, I don't think so. And mainly for the fact that, as we said in the beginning, cell-based meat is geared towards meat lovers, right? And plant-based is more like for vegan and vegetarians, because they, don't enjoy meat and they really love these plant-based alternative protein products. So I don't see that as one or the other.
But as we look to the market, Stephanie, how do you think it's going to shake out? This is just guesses at this point, but how do you think it's going to shake out, and who's going to have the lion's share of the market? Is it cultivated or plant-based meat?
Oh, that's a very tough question. I think that depends on a lot of things. Like definitely, we're so early on, Patricia said, we're at the beginning of this, right? So I think it will also be a question of the consumer, what their preferences are. And of course, also just technology, how quickly we can do it, right? I think, with cell-based, it's no longer a question of if, it's a question of how fast and how soon, right? Yes. And so what will happen, that's hard to say. I also just, when it comes to plant-based, I also think that, if you think about things like tempeh and falafel, these are things that we don't consider meat analogs, but they're still kind of like a protein source, right? I think there can be opportunities for more new products that we don't even think about. We don't have to have veggies always imitate meat, right? They can stand on their own. I think that's why they will still always be there. Like Nieves said, they're delicious in their own way, right? So, and then, hybrids, like Benjamina said too, I think that's super exciting as well, to get these very unique kind of flavors or textures or fats and things like that, and kind of come up with new things, right? Because that's what we can do now, actually, that we have this technology, right?
Yeah. I love that you say that, because of course food is nostalgic for all of us and it brings up memories and feelings, but innovation is what we do. So when people say to me, oh, we've never done that before, we shouldn't do that, or that's something too new, I just think Are you going to put us at the back of the bus? Come on, the world is changing. That's like saying, oh, no, don't use a computer. I really have to have a typewriter. Who would do that?